Only if you're okay with it, would you like to come to my place? That night, I invited a shivering college student at the park to my home. She was in tatters, but after a bath, I was surprised by how incredibly beautiful she was. Why was she alone at such a time? When I asked her about it, she told me she used to be a CEO's daughter but was now in a tough situation. 3 months later, the famous CEO, Mr. Johnson, visited me while I was unemployed and said, "I want to thank you. Would you like to take over my company?" What? My name is John. I'm currently unemployed. I used to work in sales at a jewelry store, but I was forced to resign due to petty office politics. Even though it sounded petty, getting pushed to the point of resignation couldn't be taken lightly. I've been diligently job hunting to get back on my feet, but it hasn't been going well, leaving me with a lot of free time at home. The harshness of job hunting has broken my spirit many times, making me consider giving up on several occasions. Yet, every time I felt defeated, the fear of not being able to survive motivates me to keep going. Today, feeling that same sense of urgency, I jumped out of bed and set up a meager breakfast. I always eat while watching TV. This habit started when I began living alone. Even though I was trying to save on electricity, it's more about combating the loneliness I feel during meals. As I turned on the TV, a particular news story caught my attention. It was about a long-established kimono shop that had been in the headlines recently. The shop's CEO, Mr. Johnson, had been arrested for making personal donations to politicians. An investigation was conducted, which revealed further misconduct, such as selling kimonos and jewelry at unfair prices. A former employee was interviewed on TV, who was criticizing Mr. Johnson harshly. I believe he deserved to be arrested for what he did, and it's understandable that former employees would speak ill of him. However, the interview brought back memories of my own difficult situation at the jewelry store. And I couldn't help but feel some sympathy for Mr. Johnson. Just then, the doorbell rang. No one ever visited me at 8 a.m. Wondering who it could be, I put down my chopsticks and headed to the door. Yes, who is it? Judging by your reaction, you forgot, didn't you? Standing at the door was my sister, Emily. Emily is 3 years younger than me and a junior at a prestigious women's college. She had mentioned she would visit her unemployed brother soon, and it seemed today was the day. But wasn't it a bit too early? Sorry, I completely forgot. I thought so. I even brought a gift, and yet, here I am with a rude brother, she said, pushing past me into the apartment. But isn't it too early? I haven't even finished breakfast. Well, yeah, but I was on my way home anyway. Coming home in the morning, huh? You've grown up, Emily. What are you misunderstanding? I was just drinking at a friend's place. Oh, so it wasn't what I thought. Why do you sound a bit disappointed? As a brother, shouldn't you be relieved that your sister isn't being led astray by some guy? Of course, but it's also sad to think my cute sister has no interest from guys. It's not like there's absolutely no interest. Really? Who's the guy? Your face changed too quickly, it's scary. What's up with your emotions? After that, we spent about an hour chatting about recent events. Speak of the devil, Emily suddenly said, focusing on the TV that had been left on. The news about Mr. Johnson, the CEO of the kimono shop, was being covered again on another program. Emily mentioned that his daughter was also a junior at her university. Apparently, the university was a K-12 institution, and his daughter has been there since elementary school. When Emily first transferred there from a public school, the biggest gossip was about her. People were talking about her even when she was in high school. Everyone was excited about this amazing heiress joining the university. Was she really that impressive? Of course. She's a genuine heiress and incredibly beautiful. Emily lamented that she couldn't show me a photo, then turned back to the TV. So, is she super popular at the university? Actually, no. Surprisingly, she's not. Really? Yeah, she has this unapproachable aura. Guys from other schools even come over trying to talk to her, but she ignores all of them. Huh, so she acts all high and mighty? Probably. So, I bet there are a lot of people who think this scandal is karma. Hearing that, I looked at the TV again. I had planned to job hunt today, but since Emily decided to stay for a bit, I spent the day at home. She must have been really tired because what was supposed to be a short rest turned into her staying until nightfall. When evening came, feeling reluctant to part after our rare reunion, I walked Emily to the nearest station. The station was nearly empty, given the late hour. While Emily chatted away, I noticed something in a corner of the station. Under a tree that provided some shade during the day, there was a woman sitting alone. Even in the dim light, it was clear she was curled up against the tree. Not feeling the urge to approach her, I sought Emily off at the ticket gate. On my way back, I took the same path. As I descended the stairs and entered the plaza, the woman was still there. She remained huddled at the base of the tree. It was odd for someone to sit there late at night, away from prying eyes. I wondered if she might be feeling unwell. Thinking that, I quietly approached the tree, trying not to startle her. "Excuse me, are you okay?" I called out gently, trying not to alarm her. But she didn't respond. I raised my voice a bit, but still no reaction. Thinking she might be asleep, I moved into her line of sight. Yet, she showed no sign of noticing me. She was slumped over, her face hidden, making it likely she hadn't seen me. Whether she was asleep or not, sleeping there wasn't safe. I decided to tap her on the shoulder. She seemed startled when I touched her shoulder, but since she seemed to have realized I was there, I tried again. "Are you okay?" She looked up, and our eyes finally met. Her expression was incredibly sad and fragile, as if she might burst into tears at any moment. "What happened? What are you doing here?" Judging by her clothes, she seemed to come from a well-off background. Although they were slightly dirty, they were all from reputable brands. Upon closer inspection, I noticed she had placed a blanket under her to avoid getting dirt on her clothes. "I don't have anywhere to go, so I thought I'd rest here for the night." Contrary to her expression, the woman responded in a gentle tone. Even the nuances of her speech exuded elegance. Thinking she might be in some trouble, I suggested we go to the police station right next to the station. She immediately lowered her head and began trembling. It seemed her issue wasn't something that could be easily solved by the police. I considered leaving her be, but that just wasn't my style. Trying to offer some comfort, I proposed another idea. "Spending the night here is lonely and dangerous. If you're okay with it, would you like to come to my place to rest a bit?" "What? But I don't want to impose. It's no trouble. I have a sister about your age, and I wouldn't want her spending the night alone in a park. I can't just leave you here." After a moment's thought, she nodded. "Thank you. I appreciate it." Once I brought her home, I realized I didn't have any fancy tea or snacks to offer someone from such a refined background. I seated her in my cramped living room, and went to the kitchen to fetch a new bottle of tea from the fridge. I thought it might not be appropriate to serve it as it was, so I poured the tea into a cup before taking it to her. On the way, I noticed the tea was cold and hesitated, wondering if I should warm it up. Though it wasn't as cold as winter, I remembered it was chilly outside, and her shoulder felt a bit cold when I touched it. So I decided to warm the tea. After some consideration, I brought the warmed tea to her. "It's just some simple tea, but please have some." Even though her appearance was a bit shabby, her mannerisms as she took the tea reminded me of her refined upbringing. I poured the tea from a plastic bottle into a cup and warmed it up in the microwave. But even so, no one could tell otherwise if I told them she was drinking some fancy foreign herbal tea. Even the cup felt so refined that one might think it had decades of tradition behind it. As I watched her drinking the tea and being captivated by the sight, I couldn't help but feel unworthy of the privilege of being so close to her. Suddenly, she began to cry. "Oh, I'm sorry. Was it that bad? I didn't realize it was so bad it made you cry. I apologize. But right now, that's the only tea I have." As I flustered, she wiped her tears and smiled. "No, not at all. I just haven't felt such kindness in a long time, and it moved me." Sorry for making a scene. Relieved, I sighed and said, "I see. So, were you really planning to spend the night there?" She looked down again and replied, "Yes, I have no place to go." "What happened? If you're comfortable sharing, maybe I can help." She seemed to relax and started to speak slowly.